Hello everybody, I am the Dire Duck. So, it's finally out. Just when we thought that Glitch themselves had forgotten about it, the Gaslight District pilot has been released. It's a long one, I think it's Glitch's longest episode ever in fact, though don't quote me on that. But now for the real question, is the Gaslight District any good? That is the question I aim to answer today. I will first give a summary of the episode's plot before giving my review. But before we begin, remember to snipe that like button and butcher that subscribe button, as each one delays Judgment Day. So, the episode begins with the same narrative that we've seen in all the trailers, with the world having ended ages ago. The humans have all signed up with the Mark of the Black Hand, which is basically the Mark of the Beast, which is basically the devil. This mark has twisted all the humans who have accepted it, turning them into horrifying rotlings. But they are now free to endlessly indulge in whatever they want, as they now cannot truly die, and so live forever. If you want to know more about the Mark of the Hand, I would suggest go watching one of my previous videos, as it goes far more into detail on that subject, and it seems I've gotten most of that part right. But yeah, all the denizens of the Gaslight District are terrified of a prophecy that states that every 10,000 years a human will be born from an angel's egg, and this human has the power to destroy the Gaslight District as they know it. As you might expect, they all want this human to be destroyed to prevent their own destruction. However, it is made very clear very early on that our chosen one is old Melancholy Hill, our main protagonist. We then transition to a car chase, with the Smiling Dead gang pursuing one of their former associates named Jack, who is trying to flee from them. We later find out from Mel that the reason they are after him is due to the fact that Jack figured out that Mel is a human because he saw Mel bleed black blood, which is an indicator that she is a true human, unlike everybody else who sports corrupted pink blood. This of course makes Jack want to warn everybody, which Mel and Ken cannot allow. However, Mud and Breadhead, who are both also members of the Smiling Dead gang, critically do not know this fact. They are unaware that Mel is a human. Mel then boards Jack's car and then they engage in a little back and forth with each other, spelling out what I just said pretty clearly. Mel is a human and Jack knows about it. Jack then crashes the car, with the car then unknowingly silencing him before he's able to tell them the truth. They then cement him, trapping the guy underwater so he can't talk, though Ken, despite ordering it, wasn't happy to do it. We then go to the Whale Belly Butcher Shop, which seems to be some sort of butcher's and restaurant hybrid, and this is where the gang operates out of. We see the cast all doing their little job within this establishment. Mel is seen bragging that she's now an official member of the Smiling Dead gang, however Ken, who seems to be an overprotective father of Mel's, is dead against this. Which we know is because he's trying to hide Mel's real identity. Mel then reveals that she had cooked up her own heist plan in an attempt to prove herself, though Ken states that he doesn't want to see Mel get all messed up like the rest of the gang, as unlike them, she still has her actual limbs. Mel then mentions that her plan involves the human egg, which gets everyone on edge. She then reveals that her plan is to break into Paradise Lost, which is controlled by the angel-aligned virtues, then make their way up the stairway to heaven, steal the human egg from its mum, before smashing it in front of the whole town to become legends. Ken is understandably skeptical about all of this, while the rest of the gang all wants to do it. This results in Ken having a private talk between him and Mel. Mel then reveals to Ken that the plan is fake and what they are actually going to do is just steal a regular angel egg and pretend it's the human egg, in order to take the heat off Mel for the next 10,000 years, as everyone will think that the human is dead. Eventually, Mel is able to get Ken to agree to the plan, which results in the gang all heading to Paradise Lost, where they attempt to infiltrate the complex, getting past Diligence, who is one of the virtues. Mud then takes up position in the security and intercom room, while Breadhead deals with the angels. This allows Ken and Mel to go for the egg. However, Ken soon goes to tie up some loose ends with Temperance, who knows Mel's true origins, giving Mel the instructions not to go to heaven without him, which of course she ignores. Ken then silences Temperance and burns all evidence of Mel's past, and things all start going wrong for all of our cast. This includes Mel, as she gets attacked by the Angel's mother, who knows she is a human. The Angel's mother also evokes the prophecy about how a legion of angels will rain hellfire on the Gaslight District. Mel is able to escape with the help of Ken, as the gang all heads back to the truck and attempts to flee. However, not before Diligence is able to take a crack at the cast, though Ken is able to fight him off. Despite being wounded, Mel is ecstatic, believing that this makes her a full member of the Smiling Dead. However, she soon passes out from her wounds, though Ken doesn't want Mel to end up like the rest of them.
I'll make sure you never end up like one of us.
We then move to the final scene of the pilot, with them all being about to smash the egg, declaring that it is a threat to their eternal life. However, just before they smash it, the egg then hatches in Mel's hands, revealing the farce. Everyone is understandably pissed about this, and they all gear up to attack the gang, the pilot ending on that cliffhanger. though we do get to see a Hook descending into the depths to try and retrieve Jack, so we might see him again. And that's the whole plot of the pilot. So, what did I think? Well, first up, the characters. We get to see them all do quite a bit during this episode, and personally, I like them. I thought they were all fun to watch and played well off one another. Mel being a newbie with lots to prove, with the interesting secret being she's actually human. Ken being the rage-filled, overprotective mob boss father with a temper. Mud being the crazed sleazebag, and Breadhead being the mostly mellow muscle. All of them are distinct in design and full of personality in how they act on screen. However, I don't feel like these characters get fully fleshed out with the exception of Ken, but even in his case, it is a lot of setup, which I think is fitting for all the characters. There's a lot of setup here and every character has a massive amount of potential, but the question remains if Nick can fully deliver on all of them. In terms of voice acting, I think everyone did very well. Not much else to say really, it's pretty much an all-star cast after all, so I expect the VA to be top notch. Now for the animation and art style. This has to be the most controversial thing about the show. Some people love the art style, while other people detest it. I myself quite like the new style, and think it's a refreshing change of pace for Glitch, and in general. It is not something you see every day in indie animation after all. So personally, I'm glad it doesn't look like just another Glitch show, but something entirely its own. It also shows that Glitch has the balls to try out new things and push the bounds, which I appreciate. When talking about the animation, it is very well crafted. There's always something going on in each scene with a lot of very detailed models and assets. So it is certainly a very impressive piece of media in terms of visuals, if nothing else. I am not sure I would go as far to say it is more visually impressive than MD episode 8, but it is certainly close. However, the visual detail of everything, combined with the art style, can muddy things a bit, as it can sometimes be difficult to tell what is going on at any given time, which could be a turn off for some people. While I was able to process everything, I did take note that it was a bit more difficult in some scenes. I think the best way to describe it would be visually chaotic. This is not helped by the show's pacing, and if there's one thing that every other reviewer is definitely going to bring up, it is the pacing. It is fast, very fast. Murder Drone's episode 8 levels of fast. Despite it being 26 minutes long, it still felt like it was rushed. So, when you have this on top of the animation, it feels like the show is excitedly running at 100 miles an hour, desperately trying to show you all the cool things it can. And while it certainly has a lot of cool things to show, I would say that it was trying to cram a little bit too much into this episode. When it comes to the music, while I think it definitely adds a lot to the pilot in all the times that it is used, and is very unique from the other albums that Glitch had dropped before, I strangely enough didn't find myself remembering any of the music. It just kind of blended into the background. With the exception of the intro music, I can't really remember any of it. While this might be because I'm writing this review straight after watching the episode a few times, I just don't really think the music stands out all too much when compared to the tracks in Murder Drones or Digital Circus, which have since become iconic. Right, so how does the story measure up? Well, it sets in motion a lot of mysteries and plot threads that I'm sure we followed up on, like Ken's overprotectiveness and Mel trying to hide her identity. There's also for sure a lot of stuff I know I'm going to need to look back on and analyse, so at the very least I'll have a lot of content for a while. But yeah, I thought it did a very good job at establishing the world if nothing else. I also noticed that they definitely tried to provide some stakes for our cast, with the idea of cementing and the Inferno, as our cast can't die after all, so Eternal Torment is about as good as you're going to get. I feel like we're going to get a lot more interesting and disgusting locations in the future, which is very good. I was most pleased by the fact that Glitch went all out on actually making it a dark show, with a main cast who are scumbags. It is very refreshing to see, and they actually seem to be committing to it. While this certainly won't be for everyone, I like the fact that they were unrepentantly dark and filthy and held nothing back. Now, in conclusion, the Gaslight District is pretty damn good in my opinion, like an 8.5 out of 10. There are some things that I think could do with a little bit of refining, but overall it is a fun ride that gives you as a viewer a lot to latch onto. I think this will certainly scratch the MD itch for a lot of people. With that being said, we have come to the end of the video. So, what did you think? Is the Gaslight District peak, or did it not live up to your expectations? Let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, that'll be all from me. Remember to like and subscribe and do all the other things that every other YouTuber tells you to do. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, check out my other videos, some of which are even good. Maybe. Either way, I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye bye.